Kayla here, and I haven't done a movie review in a while. I'm so excited for this one. It's actually a fashion documentary about Andre Leon Talley's wonderful life called The Gospel According to Andre.
Just do it, think it, wear it. When he's like, oh, darling, make me a cape to the floor, or darling, I need a ruffled shirt, or whatever. There is no hesitation, like, do you think I should wear this? It's just there, out there.
Andre Leon Talley has been a fixture in the world of fashion for so long that it's difficult to imagine a time when he wasn't defining the boundaries of great style. Kate Novak's intimate portrait, The Gospel According to Andre, takes viewers on an emotional journey from Andre's roots growing up in the segregated Jim Crow South to becoming one of the most influential tastemakers and fashion curators of our time. I know what you guys are thinking. He's not of Caribbean descent. And what does this have to do with us? But I think, a lot of things that happen here in the States really impact, and even in Europe, really impact the style in terms of influences. Yes, we kind of put our own spin on things, but Andre Leon Talley is one of those people that you just automatically know in fashion. He's kind of like a designer and a personality all to himself. And a lot of people know him through his work with Vogue. He has had a lot of close relationships with a lot of designers, and many writers and editors really look up to him and his opinions across the globe in terms of being able to determine what's next in fashion. He really has his own style, and definitely being a black male in this, Caucasian dominated, industry. I think it's important that we kind of really study the greats that are in the industry. And when you talk about style and you talk about vibes, you have to understand all of the pieces that kind of make up the industry itself and a person. And I really feel like we all can really take a lot from this documentary. So I think it's something that you should definitely add to your list. The film opens up in Miami and Wynwood on June 1st. So that's the first time that you can actually see it in the theater. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's such an amazing piece. I love documentaries as a whole because I'm just really interested in people's lives and how they kind of progress through their career. And I think a lot of people, especially being in it, they don't always talk about it until they've gotten to a certain point in their career. And I think Andre has really reached that pinnacle point where he can kind of reflect. He's not done yet. I think he's far from done. So I think he's kind of at a point in his life and in his career where he can reflect on all the things that have transgressed through the years, express a lot of his opinions about the fashion industry and how he feels about fashion as a whole. And this really put me in a different perspective in terms of understanding his history, his career, and I have so much more admiration and respect for what he does and what he has done and what he'll continue to do to help that next generation of people like us that look like us and want to be in that industry. I know sometimes it can be intimidating. So I think hearing his story and the importance of the time period in which he became this person, this personality, and really took on everything, embodied everything that people really kind of didn't expect from, this tall black guy from the South with Southern roots, coming to New York and, making his life in Paris and doing all of these things. And the documentary really opened up a lot of behind the scenes things from my perspective that I didn't know. So I think it'll do the same for you as well. I'll be talking primarily about the three, maybe even four, because I just drew so much inspiration from the actual documentary that I'm just going to share what I can. And just in terms of, inspiration that I really got from the film itself is really just about, being true to yourself and being, really having and owning your own personal style. And he even kind of talks about, how that developed, and he talks about why he loves to wear capes and caftans, and that's just his thing. But he really kind of explains why, and really talks about, you know, each individual person and how they express themselves through fashion. I think a lot of people have the misconception that fashion is just about putting on clothes, and style, you know, is really just about, you know, putting things together, but it really embodies how you feel on the inside. And sometimes even when you're not feeling, you know, all the way yourself, you know, you get dressed, you know, for me it's, you know, this red lipstick. Anytime I put on like a red or a pink or, you know, a dark purple lipstick, like that's my thing. You know, my curls are my thing. Like those are like kind of my superhero capes in a way, because it makes me feel like me. My hoops, you know, those are things that are essential to my aesthetic, and you'll probably always see me wearing that or doing that as a person. So I think he kind of developed his own style, and he really wants others to kind of embrace their own style as well. His passion really is embodied in who he is, and I think the reason why he was so successful was because not only did he know fashion, but he knew art. He knew history. He knew its relation to time and to music, and how it kind of really all fused together in a way that it was seemingly natural. So, you know, some people try and talk about those things, and you can tell that it's not natural for them. Like you can look in his eyes and you can see he was like in awe and enamored with, you know, shows, and even just the way he kind of talked about all the subjects. It was just so natural and so impeccably, you know, he had these little Andreisms that you would drop. And he's a person that I've never met personally, but I think I got so much appreciation, more appreciation in terms of his historical knowledge of fashion and people and styles and where it came from and why it's this way, and it's reminiscent of this time and this era. And you know, he was really able to connect the dots in a way that even Anna Wintour was impressed with his ability to kind of help her understand art history and fashion in that sense. So I think he's kind of like that person behind the scenes that kind of is like, you know, nudging and edging the industry along, that no one has recognized up until now. I wouldn't say no one has recognized, because I think the fashion world and people who are in art kind of recognize him in that way. But I think the broader audience is where he needs to be recognized, because it's not just fashion that he knows. He's really like a knowledgeable person when it comes to historical knowledge and relevance in terms of creativity. And I think that that is the underlying of his personality and why he's so good. Andre is definitely someone who is already very well respected, and even probably just walking into a room, I mean, he's tall, you know, he's a persona when he walks into a room. So I think people are always like looking and seeing who was that. But I think we don't always understand that, you know, that comes with a price, and it kind of sheds light on his Southern roots and his history about, you know, going through the civil rights movement and what that really meant for him, because he wasn't out on the front lines, but he was having very similar, you know, racial discriminations in his career on a, you know, a regular basis. And I think this is probably the first time that you're actually going to hear how much it impacted him, about being influenced by how extravagant the hats were on Sunday when he would go to church with his grandmother, and kind of just talk about, you know, dressing up and making sure that he looked impeccable. And he was able to kind of walk the campus of the schools that he went to, and, you know, just walk with a certain kind of grace that you can only get, you know, walking in by the pews with the, you know, sisters and the deacons, and hello, you know, your little white glove. He still wears gloves throughout the whole movie. You see he has on gloves, and it's something that, you know, you see the ushers have on, you know, every Sunday. So his influences in terms of church and religion, his family, and the close relationships that he's had over the years are what you really kind of get to understand and kind of peel back the layers of Andre Leon Talley. if you claim to like love style, love fashion, love everything about the industry itself, this is a must watch. Like, you have, you know, people, there are certain things that you just have to watch if you're part of the industry and you really love. And this, I think, is going to be a staple. And I think he's finally getting a platform and having the ability to be recognized outside of the fashion world as this really knowledgeable person that is so completely relevant to decades of culture. And he has got a person that has been able to kind of define his own boundaries and kind of not live within anyone else's idea of what he is or who he is. And he like confidently walks the world, even if he's not so confident, because, you know, we have to sometimes just put it on and just walk out and make sure, you know, we're like, I'm feeling it today, even when I'm not, you know? And I think he kind of exudes that, and he kind of goes with that on a very daily basis. And he kind of has an understanding that everything has its place, it has its time, and not everything is going to be perfect. So just go with it. I think like his whole attitude of just go with it is just amazing to me. So if you can, make sure you guys check out The Gospel According to Andre. The documentary opens this weekend in Miami, Wynwood, Miami, on June 1st. I'm sure it's going to be playing elsewhere as well, but I'm totally sure that you guys will enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. I enjoyed doing this movie review for you guys. And if you guys want to see more, make sure you guys leave comments below, subscribe, and make sure you guys visit styleandvibes.com and keep up with us on social media at Style and Vibes. Until next time, later, my peeps.